Newsfirst, Newsline with Faraz Shauketaly.
And a jolly good morning to you. This is Newsline, live as always from the Newsfirst studios in Dawson Street in Colombo. And this morning, it wasn't that dry, but it wasn't that wet either, and things seem to be receding, which is, of course, very good news indeed. Thereafter, we can start the postmortem and find out why it is that these disasters keep happening year in and year out. Is there something that we can do as human beings on our wonderful country, on this land, or is it really natural disasters in its element? We'll find out during the week. But in the meantime, to discuss several matters of contention, including what's going on at the Securities Exchange Commission of Sri Lanka, is a former commissioner, Dr. Prathiba Mahanamahewa. Very good morning to you, Doctor.
Very good morning to Faraz.
And nice to have you back on after a while. Many things happening, and because you were formerly at the SEC, the Securities Exchange Commission of Sri Lanka, the regulator of the stock market, I thought I'd ask you, are you happy? We have a new SEC it's been restructured. We have the aged Mr. Tilak Karunaratne, who's kind of retired. And what do you have to say? Are we going in the right direction?
I don't think we are going in the right direction, because changing heads is not a basic answer. For us, see last 3 years how the stock market collapsed in Sri Lanka, and sovereign bond, all the foreigners are actually withdrawing that, because we have not given a perfect solution for the bond scam, central bank, and these things are hiding, and appointing new people won't survive. And the other thing, rather than these appointments, I must pressurize the most worst Security and Exchange Bill to be introduced to the Parliament soon.
What's wrong with it?
It is we are giving more power for the chairman as well as Director General. They can't actually dominate this market. Even you can't remove the DG, even you need 2/3 majority of the SEC members, but even Parliament is having not like that. But I must say one thing, the government, when they introduced the so-called good governance, they said the high ranks, when they are appointing, there is a Parliament High Committee. I am asking, all these names go to the Parliament High Committee, or whether there was an opportunity for the other members to say their views, whether it was appointed slowly by the Minister of Finance and so-called the Prime Minister also behind this. So whatever I want to say, certain appointments I have seen from the former Central Bank Governor Arjuna Mahendran, when he was appointed, what happened to the Central Bank, and same thing can happen to SEC Commission. I am asking last few years, what type of steps they have taken to develop the market, as well as the former chairman, what he has done to the market. So this is where we have to see. Regulator is not an arbitrary one. This is more market oriented, market facilitation, but it is not happening actually.
Now then, amongst your concerns, we have got the new head of the SEC, Ranil Wijesinghe. Now, in 2004, the SEC board commissioned a report on how to sort of change, or what was best way forward for the SEC. Now, the interim, the advance report of that was rejected by the board for being shallow and that it lacked depth. And now we find that the same person who was asked to write that report and who couldn't has now ended up in 2018 as the new nominee of the to head the SEC, Ranil Wijesinghe. Really? After you couldn't write a report, it was rejected by the SEC. Now you've come there to head it.
Now the issue is this: you can see the competency of an individual, what has happened in past. Whatever for us you say is perfectly correct. My concern whether the minister has gone through the previous character, previous performance, previous activities, or whether they have just appointed them as their loyalists. This is the thing we have to balance in the country. So the corporate governance, good governance, if you take all these concepts, whatever the corruption had done, you know what happened to the Timber Corporation chairman, even Honorable President appointed. Immediately after 2 weeks, he was removed, 2 or 3 days. So likewise, if there are certain other allegations, this is the proper way. As what happened to former Timber Corporation chairman, President got to know after 2 or 3 days he is a well-corrupted person, and there was certain allegation. So if there are certain allegations against these people also, let make the presentation president. President can take a decision. Without that, how can you run a country? So there are a lot of things. So ministers are appointing lot of heads of the department without consultation with the Parliament High Committee. This is the final result. So people may not come to invest in the country. So this is the best example. If these people are appointed, foreigners, internationally, what is the picture for us? You are revealing that this is going to international media. Will any investor come and invest these people like that, non-performing people appointing? No, that is the final result. So president has to suffer this. President must intervene and take a decision.
So this is no different from during the previous administration, the time of Mr. Rajapaksa, President Rajapaksa. We had a person who was very much in the news for all sorts of reasons, and some would say for different reasons, but he ended up as the chairman or the head of the SEC. And people thought, wow, really? The same guy who's supposedly around the pumping and dumping scandal, or who's mentioned in the pumping and dumping scandal, ended up as the head of the SEC. Now, when Tilak Karunaratne came in for the second time round with this good governance, he came on our show. We asked him about these files, about the pumping and dumping, the manipulation, and so on. And he said, yes, give us some time. We only got 3 people. Well, you know, he's been there about 3 years before he gave up and, you know, retired. But there's no word about those files. It's like the FCID, you know, they started off with a big bang, and then well into their life, the Minister of Law and Order, and no doubt his colleague, the Prime Minister, sent a whole bunch of files from the FCID to something called the National Procurement Commission, and said that they will investigate. We've never heard anything since. Then now we have a situation where even the balance files, the head of the, you know, the quite literally the head, the FCID head, the head of this FCID, and it's not a person, I'm talking about the head of the FCID. The FCID, they are being pulled in different directions. They're not obviously not being allowed to do a job, because looking at the number of files that they've investigated and the number of files that have actually arrived in a courthouse and translated into a proper charges and then a trial, it's abysmal. It's abysmal. They've got hold of, I think, 1 or 2 cases, and that's about it. So who is blocking these things?
Well, who is blocking this? I'll give a very recent example. 16 MPs from SLFP crossed to the opposition. Now only they started investigation, FCID accelerating, 2 or 3 members, 2 or 3 times they call FCID. This is where the political agenda, even you call, there are certain types of allegation. Last 3 years, more than 4,600 complaints are there. Have they investigated how many cases they have filed? No, under the carpet, political ideologies are there. So when you are in the government, when you are the minister, whatever the sports ministry, whatever the scandal, nothing. Now only everything is coming up. Now you can see this TB Kanayaka, Honorable TB Kanayaka, Honorable Sri Jayasekara, headlines now. Today, when they were in the government for 3 years, nothing. They are clean people. Now, when they crossed over to the other side, everything changed. This is where the present government also, they are spending for a building in Rajagiri millions. But Where are the investigation? Nothing. So last regime was not good. That's why new regime was appointed.
But that's the theory.
Yeah, that's the theory. Do you think the same thing should be followed by these people? No. Whatever they preach is not happening. Finally, the president has to intervene for all these things and correct. Why you are giving opportunity like that? So these are the reasons.
The several other matters that have come up here this morning.
Yeah.
One is what somebody is asking about the 20th Amendment. They're asking why now? Why not 2 or 3 years ago? Why is the JVP doing this now? Are they unhappy about something?
I think.
Why is it taking so long?
Yeah, I think the first thing, Mr. Nihal Galapati, long time back, when President Chandrika Kumaratunga was contesting, in writing, President Chandrika Kumaratunga gave a pledge that we will demolish the executive president once we come into power. So they also tried several times. Even in the 100 days program, it was clearly there, but nothing is in the parliament. These constitutional committees are there. Have they appoint any committee to discuss the executive president? No, there are 7 committees. All these 7 committees for other purpose. That means if a government come to power, follow me, what J.R. Jayawardena said, the president, he said within 48 hours, if you change something, that will happen. Other than that, just only talking. So JVPers were not pushing this long time back. They could have come up at the end of the 100 days, but they have to be in the politics, so they have to show something. So that's why. But I think even 20th Amendment presented to the Parliament, parliamentarians cannot decide it. That is the 19th Amendment. Supreme Court, Honorable Sri Pawan judgment and the others, what they said, if you are transferring power from an executive president to the legislation or prime minister, you must conduct a referendum. Finally, this has to come for a referendum. 225 members cannot decide our future. They can't decide our Sri Lankan future. It has to come to people. That's why you call people sovereignty. Even it is given to Parliament, it can be actually yes. 20th Amendment, it can be passed with 2/3 majority in the Parliament. No. It has to come for a referendum. Then the people will decide. So that opportunity is there.
Are you promoting the cause of having the presidency as it is?
I am really promoting, we need executive presidents in Sri Lanka. That is where the country's future or even several threats may come to this country.
So why did they undertake to remove the executive presidency?
That is where several reasons are there. All these reasons where you have to show when it comes to the parliament, even minority parties may support. That is my view. But why they came up with that? So there are several other things where the country is moving in a different way, and scientific ministers are there.
Scientific. Talking about scientific. We have a question about scientific, but it's I'll come back to that in a minute. This other question: why has the Prime Minister appeared to be silent on the recent disaster, the flooding? We didn't really see him.
Yes. Now,
how come?
He can't come and meet the people. That is the other thing.
Why?
Why? All these are too delayed. Now this has to be planned before. Where is the mega police? We have a ministry.
Why didn't we see the Prime Minister in his Wellington
Because he can't
boots?
come forward. He can't come forward and face to the nation. What will happen? People will say nice things. Not only the floods, the tax, the cost of living. How many reasons are there? So he has to give answers. That's why he's hiding.
Who is hiding?
Yeah, that's my argument. He may not come. He may come and appear in big shows and even conferences, workshops. Other than that, let's come to the people and discuss their problems. That is the thing.
So you say he's just hiding. Right, another question. This is going everywhere today. The Singapore government, the Singapore authorities have now confirmed that Arjuna Mahendran is in Singapore, that he's residing in Singapore. All right? Now that's the one thing. Now, before Rajitha Senaratne gets all worked up, hang on, I'm about to mention it. What about Jalia? What about Udayanga Weeratunga? They need to be brought back too. Otherwise, Rajitha Senaratne will say, you're only talking about Arjuna Mahendran.
Yes.
No, I'm not. I'm talking about all these rogues, all these people accused of being rogues, okay? So they need to come and clear their names. Now then, my question to you, you're a legal man, should the Singaporeans return Mahendran to Sri Lanka? What is the process for them to return him?
I'll explain. I have said before,
Yeah.
never, never, never. Singapore government may never hand over Mr. Arjuna Mahendran for Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
I will give the reason.
Yeah.
Now there has to be a procedure.
Yeah.
This procedure is where Arjuna Mahendran has committed these type of offences and the fourth magistrate issued a notice.
Yeah.
This notice finally, this warrant, red warrant. Now it has gone to the Interpol.
Interpol red alert.
Yeah, red alert. Interpol is there in Singapore. Now what will happen? A person will hand over if there is a criminal offence or criminal misappropriation of money. But the extradition law clearly say if any political reason behind that, we never hand over that. So if there is a political discrimination, certain things they are going to revenge from him, they never hand over him.
There's no politics here.
Yeah.
There's no
There
politics.
is no politics, but the person suspect can give an affidavit to their government and say, I am insecure. If you send me to Sri Lanka, what will happen? My fundamental rights may be breached. So likewise, he can give affidavit. You can say it is very nicely. But what happened? Udayanga also same. Now Udayanga's case, he is actually in Ukraine. Ukraine government and Sri Lanka government, we have signed an extradition agreement. So Ukraine government can easily hand over Udayanga Veerathanga to Sri Lanka. No, Udayanga has also given affidavit. If they send me their political revenge, all these are politics. So therefore, remember, extradition laws subject to political discrimination. Under that grounds, no one will come to Sri Lanka. That is my argument. We have certain other extradition agreement, even United Nations. They
Yes,
don't
yes,
have
but
extradition.
I don't mean that the Singaporeans would just say, here you go, take him and go away. I'm talking about the process. So the process means that the Sri Lankan government the police here need to charge Arjuna Mahendran here,
Yes.
even if it is ex parte, when he's not here.
Definitely.
Right? And then they need to get a conviction,
Yeah.
and then they need to go to Singapore and present that in a court and say, look, we've got a conviction against this guy. He's one of your citizens. He's broken these laws. This is it. Can we have him to serve his time?
Two ways. I'll talk about criminal and I'll talk about the money scandal one.
Yeah.
Now let's say Sri Lanka has signed 1948 New York Convention.
Yeah.
Under the New York Convention,
Yeah.
even our courts can have an ex parte judgment and
Yeah.
deliver this judgment, and it can be implemented in Singapore as a foreign judgment.
Yeah.
In that case, whatever the property, whatever the money, they can basically seize and send to Sri Lanka. That is one way. And the other one is criminal matter.
Yeah.
They never hand over him to Sri Lanka, because I said once again, he is also having a defense.
Yeah.
If you are saying he is in charge of this one, but
Yeah.
what about his side? Singaporean government are very much concerned about the fundamental right rather than Sri Lankans. So therefore, they are very much concerned. If there is a case, Singapore government can file. Okay, send all these charge sheets, send all this evidence, let the Singapore High Court indict him.
But how can they do that when
They can do it. They can do it.
But the offense has been committed
Yes,
here.
I'll tell. Swiss. You can remember one of the foreigner did a lot of child abuse in Sri Lanka. What happened? He escaped. Victor Bahuman. He escaped to Swiss.
Yeah.
But the Swiss commissioners came here, got the evidence, and they instituted and they remanded him. So you can't say like that. If there is even a foreigner has done something wrong
Yeah.
to a country, that is where our foreign policy and our foreign ministry must be in a perfect way to handle this. Are they doing it? Are they doing it? Have they ever invited? And also whether the ambassadors are in that country, as well as the Sri Lanka, we have a foreign division.
Yeah.
They have to invite and they have to get the ambassador. They can release certain things are the ambassador relationship.
Yeah.
Are we using that? No. Last moment only when the Attorney General Department say, he is nicely in Singapore. He is nicely in Singapore. How can you get him? There is a process. That's why I'm explaining the process.
Now then, right. Now there's another question here. And this is to do with the current disaster relief. Now, according to the Disaster Management Center, the DMC, as reported in the press this morning, 5.8 billion with a B spent for disaster relief last year. Now that's a lot of money, 5.8 billion. But if we have a look, we're not, I'd love them to tell us precisely where this money went. But on the other side, Dr. Prathiba, when we look at the Google Earth maps of, let's say, the Kaluganga, and as you follow the Kaluganga upwards, upstream, you'll notice that the river has reduced in size at various places. You can also see very clearly from these images where there are houses and so on, there are encroachments there along the side of the river banks. Then there is mining going on, okay? Probably illegal. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I stand to be corrected.
It's not legal.
But it can't be that legal, ever so close to it. And then we need to, if it has become legal, we need to find out which fool gave them permission to do it on the side of the banks. Now then, also available from the Google Earth images, you can see the depth of the river at certain points seems to be very shallow. Now, that's because it hasn't been dredged. There appears to be no river management going on.
Correct.
When I look at the contrasting pictures of, let's say, a Thai river in Thailand, the change is remarkable. It's like black and white, and we hope to do a program on that. But why is there no sort of plan? It's almost as though the people at disaster relief accept that next year this time we're going to have the same thing all over again and again. But what are the provincial councils doing? What are the local authorities doing? What is the Ministry of Irrigation doing? Why are they not managing these rivers with all the garbage and the encroachment? There must be enforcement.
Last few years, there were no municipality councils functioning. They postponed the election for 3 years. Now only they have established. Even provincial council, they are going to postpone for unlimited time. Now my argument is this. Now when they came to power, they had a disaster management committee, very high committee with experts and parliamentarians. What has happened? Any structure near a river bank is illegal according to my legal knowledge. Even no one can give the permission to build a hotel or even certain type of activities, whatever you explain. Now how they set up? Why these people were not taken to courts? Even these illegal structures near the river banks, as well as sand mining, and a lot of things are there. This is where no proper management, even they said to the minister may cover up. So this is where Sri Lanka we are going. Even experts having no say. I'll give one example. The transport board minister appointed an expert committee. They said to increase 6.5 only the bus fare. But other two ministers, deputy minister, increased to 12.5. Where we are going? Where we are heading? Are we having the real policy? No. Even president hitting disaster management. Last 3 years, same thing happened. In 2019 also the same thing happened. What we are going to do? Why we are not planning it properly?
Maybe they're very happy knowing that the private sector, like the Sirasa Shakti Sanayatra program, will kick in and everything will be okay at the next disaster because the relief will go, and it's almost like, hey, this is what we're supposed to do. But actually they're not addressing. I know that this is maybe not the time now, but it is the time now to highlight complete inaction. Why are they allowing these things to happen? Okay, we can't stop the rains, and no, please don't be so flippant to think that I'm suggesting that the government is to blame for these natural disasters. No, they're not. But what they can do, they must maintain and be prepared for the eventualities. If the rivers are all properly done, if it is dredged regularly, and if they get rid of the garbage, and if they enforce the illegal encroachments and the illegal sand mining and take out all those potential conflicts and potential damages out of the scene, then we can say they've done everything possible. And natural disaster is an act of God. We've done the best we can. But can they put their hand on their heart and say, look, we've done the best? And I'm sure that they can't.
My argument is this: who issued the license for the sand mining and other things? All they issued by politicians. So that's why we have to see properly ban it. Even today I can show you several rivers happen in this. But whatever this municipality council, provincial council, they are soundless. So the main government, even they have a what type of a policy they must come up. So my argument is this: Apply the law strictly to everyone, those who are doing, and even they are having these gems and other things also. They excavate these rivers. So who has given the license? Even specifically Ratnapur, even Gampaha today fully flooded. So what type of plans? You are talking about other rivers. Let's see the main cities, Gold, even in Gampaha. So megapolis is there. Are we planning for that? Are we talking for that? No, the president election is so close. So they are trying to bank with the president election.
Well, when the river mouth in down south in Kalutra and so on, when they are so full and clogged up with garbage and all sorts of things, and they need to dredge it. They need to clear up the sea mouth, the river mouth, where it goes into the sea. They need to clear that up. And there's no good saying, well, you know, the salinity will change, because the force of the water coming from up during this rainy season just outnumbers it, and it will go through. And if there is if they detect that the salinity is going to change, they can fill it up again.
There is a minister in charge of disaster management. Only Army, Navy, Police, Air Force, they come and help people last moment. So the leadership should be given by the ministry, but it is not happening. Even from last year, 2017 to 2018, what they have done, whatever you say, whatever you say, the instruments are enough.
But Dr. Prathiba, you're talking about leadership.
Yeah.
What leadership? What
That's why it is not there.
There is no leadership.
There's no leadership. That's why all these things are happening.
There is no leadership.
That's why all these things are happening.
Where was the Prime Minister? Where did we see him in boots and up to his waist in water?
I have seen only Deputy Minister in charge of wildlife. He is going here and there and he is doing his business. But these things should be done as, that's why I mentioned, the leadership come forward and direct. When Honorable President Premadasa was there, he has done the best. He has gone to the people, he has instructed the people what to do. So therefore all these officials are also lacking their duties. That's
so many years after President Premadasa's sad demise, never before has our country been wanting in that kind of leadership. This country has suffered and suffered because of the actions of whoever it is who took away President Ranasinghe Premadasa's life, because he was truly the people's president, and he understood. I think of all the presidents, he had his ear to the ground, and he felt the heartbeat of the masses, and he knew what was going on. And we've always missed him. And you've just mentioned him now. And when we travel about, and when we see the level of poverty and the level of hopelessness and helplessness, when we see that, it appears to me that large chunks of this country's population, my brothers and my sisters, are truly forgotten. They've been forgotten by the very people who have come there with false promises and taken their vote and are not delivering. So where is the leadership?
How can we believe these politicians? One of the former minister, and he was in the UNP, fully criticized. He said, it's a shame for me to sit with the Prime Minister in a cabinet, nicely taking another ministry. What is this? Whether the politicians are actually responsible, I never trust these politicians in this country. So the people also never believe, even they don't want to listen what they say. Whatever you preach, you breach next day. So therefore there must be some type of a movement which should come up.
And finally, yesterday's revelations on an international news channel from Al Jazeera about the match fixing, pitch fixing. What struck me as the most was the complete flippancy with which they were talking about fixing this international sport, the game of cricket. It's no more a gentleman's game. It can't be. When they're so flippantly sitting there and talking about fixing the pitch, completely oblivious to what was going on, spoiling. I do hope that they get hold of all those people and come down to the full extent of the law, because they don't deserve anything less. They need to come down really hard. And so even in cricket, even in sport, we find this sort of departure from process. I'm fond of saying that, and that's what it is. But on that note, Prathiba Mahanamahewa, we've come to the end of our program. How sad. We'll be on Talk of the Town shortly on Yes FM 101. But in the meantime, thank you very much. Have an excellent week ahead. I'm sure there are good things too. We'll just find them. On that note, that's about it from Newsline this morning. Take care. God bless.
News First, Newsline with Faraz Shauketaly.